Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. We've got guests Alonzo Adams and RJ Patel. This is Smart Business Moves.
Yay. So glad to have you guys here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. First thing I thought of when this topic came up. First thing.
The topic being leadership. So what more apropos to have our guests. And we have another guest that's going to be joining us shortly. RJ, could you maybe share who else will be joining us here shortly?
It's a pleasure to share with everybody. It is actually my collegiate soccer coach. His name is Coach Luis Sastoque. He's from Colombia, South America. An amazing man, amazing human. Besides the people that have had tremendous influence in my life, family, father, mother, wife, this man has had amazing influence on me, who I am today, and how he pushed me to be a soccer coach, and what the life lessons were learned there and translated to real life.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. Super excited to hear from all of you guys about the topic. But Tom, we got a little bit of news we want to talk about first this morning. Or I guess it's not morning.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is somewhere, but not where I am.
Or where I am. No. I know we have the new mask information. I'm wondering if that's impacting anybody.
Yeah, that is interesting. CDC came out late last week saying, at least from a federal level, the CDC and then the guidance from the federal level is if you've been vaccinated, that in most settings it's okay, it's safe and appropriate for you not to wear your mask. There's some local ordinances that might have different rulings on that. Certain in businesses, businesses have the opportunity to set their own rules on that as well. So some retailers are going with the new guidance. Some retailers are still asking their guests, their customers, to continue to wear a mask. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But the infection rates have been dropping on a national level quite sharply, and a lot of people are thinking that this was a good move. It kind of creates more motivation, more incentive for people who haven't been vaccinated to get vaccinated. So, they can say that they've been vaccinated and they won't have to wear a mask anymore.
Yeah, that's I know that's hopefully the driving force, right? That's what everybody's hoping for. What are you guys doing in your individual businesses? Any changes for you?
At the moment, for us at Castle Keepers, not much. We're still wearing masks in clients' homes and in the office, just out of abundance of caution. But it has gotten us to start thinking about, well, at what point do we start relaxing those rules? But this guidance just came out last week, and we figured that we would wait and kind of see what everybody else does before. There are times where you want to get ahead of it, and there's other times when you kind of want to let the masses make their move, and we can kind of follow the herd, so to speak.
How about you guys, Alonzo, RJ?
We're still doing the same. Thinking about this with the gloves and the shoe covers. So June is probably, we're going to stop the gloves and looking at the shoe covers, because again, shoe covers, they serve a purpose, keeping stains off carpets, things of that sort. So that's a little bit something we're juggling. Should we keep the shoe covers? But the gloves are ready to come off, So we're looking at next month, just taking the gloves off. The mask
makes it sound like you're getting ready to fight.
I would say we are. We are ready to take the gloves off and get rumbling,
We have always worn gloves, so we actually we didn't make any change for COVID, and we won't change anything with gloves because we've always worn them.
We did too, Liz, for wet wash. but not for dry. So that would be the only difference. Do you guys use glove for dry as well?
Yeah, we wear gloves the whole entire time that we're in a house.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just seen it becoming, a little bit of an issue because you're pushing a vacuum, you start to sweat, and the hands are sweaty, and so that's why it came up for us.
Yeah, and it's true. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how sweaty hands can get, right?
Sweaty palms. It's you always get sweaty palms when you're doing dirty work.
All right, I'm thinking just hot work, but okay. How about you, RJ? Are you making any mask changes?
We've, in our office, even from the start, we've not had a mandatory mask rule. If somebody felt like they needed to wear it, they could. It's the same now. Majority of our staff do not wear the masks, even in the clients' homes, because the clients sometimes get offended. So we've just decided, look, if a client wants you to wear it, please wear it. If they're fine with it, if they're home, ask them what they would prefer. But we're still testing everybody's temperatures, all that good stuff, just to make sure that everybody's well.
Yeah, we're still doing the temp checks and all that. It's such a normal part of doing things now. It's like it's gonna feel weird not to do it.
I think it's a good practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will you be doing it like for forever, I guess? Because like there's a questionnaire that we fill out every morning as well. Looks like Luis is here.
Oh, cool.
There he
Hello,
is.
Luis. Welcome to Smart Business Moves.
Good afternoon. Thank you very
Good
much.
Hey, Coach.
Good afternoon.
Good
Nice to
afternoon.
meet you. You got a big introduction from RJ, but he's probably going to tell us just a little bit more about how you've impacted him in his life now that you're here and he gets to share again. You want to say anything else, RJ?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please meet the man that has completely influenced who I am today. Somebody outside of my family. He's the top guy. He's my college soccer coach, Coach Luis Sastoque. And then I've always referred to his wife, Myra, as Miss Coach. She will always be Miss Coach. Coach Sastoque is a brilliant leader, a brilliant coach. He made me run a lot, and maybe that's why I remember him the most. But just a superb man that has totally touched and influenced my life. So thank you, Coach.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know what you guys are wanting to, but I can tell you this: you're either mentoring or you're making mistakes and learning on your own. And RJ was wise enough to in the field of soccer, he was wise enough to look at someone who had done what he wanted to do, who liked it, and then I was fortunate enough to be blessed enough to have been coached by some coaches that knew what they were doing, and at that time in this country was just growing, and we had some phenomenal kids with great attitudes that wanted to learn. And RJ was one of those, and I was fortunate enough to meet he and his family, and just a wonderful family. We formed a friendship, and I was reading books by John Maxwell way back in the day when he first started writing on leadership and things like that, and what it took to be a leader, and I always was wondering what it took to be a leader, and I never set up really to be a leader. I just wanted to be a good example. And do something that maybe somebody would like to follow. And to my surprise, RJ took the helm on the coaching side of it, and he did phenomenal because he did some phenomenal things afterwards. And then that led, of course, because you don't do things without affecting other areas of your life, into what he owns his business now, and he's got a phenomenal team there that he has, and he runs, and I've seen that. My wife and I have seen him do his accomplishments there in that endeavor. So it just goes on and on for what you do. And the seeds you plant do grow up to some great harvest. So I was just fortunate and blessed enough to be a small part into RJ's life, and I appreciate that. That's a great compliment for me.
Thank you, Coach.
I think that was a really good example of how most leaders tend to speak more to how great the people are that they're leading than themselves. They don't usually talk about how great they are. They usually talk about how great the person is and what they brought to the table that made what they do work. So right there, y'all, was an awesome example. Thank you for that, Coach. And hey, RJ, do you mind just giving us a real quick, because you and I and Alonzo talked about it, I think Alonzo was on before he came live, but some of the things that you've done with coaching, and there's Ghost. Go ahead and pop her back on, Tom. Oh, back on.
Leslie's telling us that she's hearing some background noise, and I'm hearing a little bit too, but I'm not sure if we have a solution.
Well, you guys mute when you're not speaking if you can. If you forget, no big deal. But when you're not talking, you can mute. There is a little on my screen, it's down at the bottom. But RJ, you not mute because I want you to give just a little bit of information. And Tom, you might mute us. Maybe you can mute us. And then RJ, tell us a little bit about what you've done, the coaching. We're just talking about the Olympic team. What? So if you can give us a little bit of that background would be awesome too.
Well, it's really tough to do that because at the risk of sounding like, I'm reading a resume or something, but some of the skill sets that Coach taught, he actually threw me into a situation. Coach was coaching two teams, two club level teams, and they were at the high level in the state of Georgia. And he took me to a tournament in North Carolina, and I didn't know why. But then I realized both of his teams were playing at the same time. So he's like, hey, Patel, you're going to go coach that one, and I'm going to go over here. And I'm like, what am I going to do with these guys? I don't know anything. I remember this very distinctly. I just implemented quickly what I knew because most of those kids had more facial hair than I did at that age. And I think I was 20. I wasn't even married yet. And he threw me in there. At halftime, Coach's team was losing 3-0. And I'm like, oh man, he's going to be so mad at me. My coaching days are over. And at halftime, I just looked at these kids and I said, guys, really, it's the way I see it, right? There's 3 things you need to do. If you do this, this, and this, I think we can make a difference. It wasn't something profound. I didn't stand on a pedestal or anything. I just said, guys, it's these 3 things. To me, that was obvious, right? Sometimes we look at things and go, let me complicate this. When in reality, it doesn't need to be complicated. And I think that was the wisest lesson I learned is keep it simple, do the right things. And if you guys will do this, we have a chance. We ended up winning 4-3.
Wow.
And to me, I will always remember that as his way of teaching me how to be a good leader. And it was from then I started. And, in America, I always thought you were rewarded for winning, never the other side. So my very first year as a head coach of a club level soccer team, I was 1 win, 18 losses, and 1 tie. And I thought to myself, coaching isn't for me. I got to get out. So next thing I know, in the mail, I get a letter that says, congratulations, you've won Georgia Youth Soccer Association Coach of the Year. I'm like, I called the director of coaching for the state of Georgia, and I said, hey, Daniel, I think you've got the wrong guy here. Do you realize I lost 18 matches out of 20? And he went on to tell me it wasn't based on the record. It was more based on what the parents had to say, what I was doing. And I said, well, do you mind if I can read these letters? Because I want to know what they're seeing. Because I do my thing, I get engrossed in it, but it's only when somebody else sees something that it brings the light to things. So I started reading these letters and I was just like, I was floored. Because there wasn't a single thing that I wouldn't do that I wasn't trying to teach them. There wasn't a single skill that I didn't know that I was trying to teach them. I was in there playing with them and teaching them and being part of who they are. And when they realized that, the scores, of course, in the games didn't reflect it, but they were learning, they were progressing. That team went on, that same team, with a few changes here and there, went on to be ranked in the top 5 in the United States within the next 5 years. And I think that was an encouragement for me, that award. And that also kept me in the game. And the following year, I was honored with the United States Youth Soccer Association Coach of the Year.
Wow.
And so it just kept compounding for me that whatever he taught me was coming to fruition. I was honoring him. I was honoring Coach Sastoque. It's like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. I was loving the game. I was loving everything we were doing. In the 21 years I coached, I also coached for the ODP. That's the Olympic Development Program. So if you just look at a funnel, you have your club level teams and all that, and then it comes down to state level, and then you have ODP, and then you have your national pool. Your national pool of players is chosen from the ODP program. And so these kids can go on to play for the national team. So I had the honor of coaching kids at the ODP level. And in my 21 years, boys and girls, 92% of them went on to full scholarships at the college level.
Awesome. I do love a good measurement. Yes, that's good. I like that. That's great. Thank you for sharing that, RJ.
Absolutely.
Alonzo, I have a question real quick for you. Did you have anyone that taught you your leadership skills? Did you sort of have to teach yourself? How did you learn about leadership and learn to become a great leader? Oh, can you not unmute yourself?
You're good. You're unmuted.
Cool. I would say, Liz, you know what? I always had this, I was always attracted to leadership. It's just something that I felt that I like confidence. I like confidence in people. I still do. It just resonates. It's just contagious when you see confident people. And I like people that believe in themselves, believe in their ability. And that's been something that I would gravitate to, and I like people to be able to walk the talk, and I was always just gravitated to people that would take the realms of leadership and the will, and just go for it, against all adversity, whatever the challenge was, whatever. They say, you know what, I'm going to stand in there. And those are the kind of people that, I always would get behind, because in order to lead, you have to know how to follow. But I wouldn't follow a leader that I felt that wasn't confident in their ability and then believe in what they were saying. So that's how leadership came about for me. And I would say, again, it started with my mother. And I think that's where we all identify. That's where our first experience with leadership is through our parents. Our parents, how do they lead? And so my mother she was a leader, So there was things that she did that, of course, I followed. There was things that I still to this day, I use some of those same type of techniques and behaviors. So that's the first point. The first person I actually was able to be exposed to with leadership. Then my grandfather, he was always a person with confidence. He did what he said he was going to do. He stood tall. I think leadership is about being able to stand tall in any arena, in any arena.
Well, Alonzo, I first met you, I'm guessing maybe it was 18 years ago, give or take.
Long time.
Within ARCSI in the very formative years. And, I got to know you quickly, and you were very much a leader then. And you believed that there were, a lot of business owners in the residential cleaning industry that, needed to be inspired, that needed to be challenged to step up and be, better leaders for, their benefit, the benefit of their clients, benefit of the people working for them. And, at a very fragile time within ARCSI, you stepped up in a big way and was one of the core group of people that basically helped us get that thing stood up and moving.
Tom, I like that you said that, because you're right. When we were basically building this thing and we were looking at the industry, people just didn't believe they were professionals. They didn't believe they should make a certain income. They thought they were unworthy. They kept seeing themselves as cleaners, but not actual business owners. And that's why we were just fighting and changing that narrative and that mindset of seeing them as more than what they envisioned themselves to be. They always thought that cleaning would just be an $80 or $100 cleaning, and that's all they would ever be seen as. And we had to change that narrative, that mindset, to get people to really believe that, it's a bigger horizon out there. It really is. You just got to see the big picture. You really got to believe that this industry and you as a leader can change as a whole.
Alonzo, you make a good point, because there's a lot of people in our industry. Sometimes they don't know their own self-worth.
You're so right.
I think ARCSI and our National Association helps us put that value on everybody. They can define it, but a good leader knows his or her worth.
Well, and you're speaking a lot to confidence, and I wanted to reach out to Coach about this point. Coach, what would you say? Oh, I don't know. He's things driving, so I'm not sure if he can. Can you hear me, Coach? Maybe not.
He's muted.
I think he's frozen, actually.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, there you go.
Unmuted.
Oh.
Unmute him.
Hey, here we go.
Muting and unmuting all together. Hands up, everybody. All right. We got it.
Okay, Coach, you're unmuted now.
All right. I'm
asking the question too.
for you, Coach. I'm curious if you can speak to the importance of confidence in a leader. Oh, I think he's just too glitchy right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you asked that, Liz, I guess confidence that the leader has in themselves, or their ability to inspire confidence in others.
Me, for when, for instance, when RJ mentioned that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, try now. Frozen again.
Mm-hmm.
Darn.
There was a story why coming back in that is big about confidence and overcoming those obstacles or whatever we perceive to be.
RJ, for instance,
coming back. Okay.
as an example, the young man. Okay, we good? How's that?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Go. It's just too laggy.
Yeah, it is.
Are we good?
With you driving,
Hello?
Coach, I think the Wi-Fi is not behaving.
Yeah. What was your story,
I'm losing you
Alonzo?
guys. I can hear you guys fine.
We wish we could say the same.
Well, what I was saying is about, one of the biggest confidence shifts for me was, dealing with a bully, dealing with bullying in school. And this bully had a couple of like his henchmen with him, so they would jump me every day I would get off the bus. So every day I would be, worried when I'm on the bus to when I was going to get off to how I was going to get jumped and how fast I need to try to run to my front porch. So your worry would probably start somewhere around about 6th period in school because you know how it was going to go down. And so you can't even focus on your schoolwork because you know you're going to get jumped. And so every day they would jump me. And so my mom saw like a concerned look on my face. I wasn't like a crybaby kid, but she saw like a concern. She's like, "What's going on? What's the concerned look about?" I said, "Well, this one guy, he's got 2 guys with him and they're always jumping me every time I get off the bus. I'm not fighting by myself. It's him and 2 other guys." So she was like, "Well, you know what? You need to fight him." I said, "Well, he's the biggest of the group, so I don't know if I want to start with him. There are 2 smaller guys." Because no, you need to go for him. Because once you take him out, then you don't have to worry about the other 2. So I was like, okay. And so what she was telling me is to build up my confidence, to believe in myself that I could overcome this. So it was another day to get off the bus. And so it was, again, jump off the bus and try to see if I could run to the front porch or they would get me. So my mom caught it. She caught it. So she's like, "You got to get him. You got to get him. Fight him." And so I jumped on him. And so I just jumped on him and started beating him up. And so after that, there was never an issue again. It was never a problem. It went away. But what it did was build my confidence up at a younger age to just start to say, you know what? Sometimes you got to fight that big bully, that big obstacle to get to the place where you have to get to because, we all deal with fears, and it's the fears that hold us back, or we have that uncertainty that we're not really sure we can do it or we can handle the situation or it's pressure. In that case, it was pressure. And it was something that I had to overcome to build that confidence and belief in myself to get past this bully that was not going to stop. And that was, again, just keeping me in a place of saying, you know what? I just don't know how this is going to end. But I had to end it.
But, I really like that story because it is good as an analogy too. Because in our businesses, there's a bully out there too. Might not be some big guy with 2 henchmen that's going to jump you when you get off the bus, but there's some big thing that we all have to overcome. And we have to have that confidence because we're not going to win. We're going to keep running to the porch every single day until we take on the bully, right? So I actually really like that, Alonzo. Did you have
Alonzo, let me get this straight. Your mom asked you to jump him?
Well, yeah, because again, she said it's not going to stop until you handle it. So like Liz is saying, that's what we always deal with is that it was an issue. And it was an issue that I had, but I had to solve that issue.
Because that's the way things work in Philadelphia, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. You got to take the gloves off, Tom. What it was about, So that's a whole. Some of us in business, we just don't deal with those issues, Yeah. And that was the whole thing is that I needed a breakthrough. That was my breakthrough.
So, I'm hearing 2 dimensions of this. As the leader of the organization, you have to have confidence to take the gloves off and fight the bully. But in your mom's situation, she was the leader that got you to be confident. So to really get the job done, it's about coaching the people in your organization to have the confidence they need to execute it.
That's right.
And really, I like this, taking it to the other level too, Tom, because I can pretty much guarantee being a mom that it is not easy to tell your baby boy, I don't care how old he is, you got to fight the bully. That's not easy
Yeah.
She probably did not feel like 100% confident either to send her baby out there to beat up this bully. But she also was like, you got to do what's right. You got to do what needs to be done, because the only way he's going to get better, if we're all going to get better, is if he gets better.
Yeah, of course she didn't feel like that, because I was cute, Liz.
You still are.
You don't want to mess that up. And you still are, Alonzo. You still are.
Yeah, I knew you were going to like that one.
You know, Tom, he said the right thing. He said was.
Well, but, you know, as CEOs of our companies, we have to find that inspiration and that confidence from somewhere, because typically we don't have anybody, we don't have that person to tell us that, this is what you need to do.
You're right. And too, Tom, you got to see, even as we are leaders, the next man up, they do have to be tested in a way, And I guess even in that fashion, my mom did want to see, does he have it in him?
Yeah. Because
right now, this is an obstacle he needs to overcome, or he's going to keep running for the porch. And at that moment, I had to show up.
Yeah.
I really did. I had to show up, and I had to show up big.
But we also know that if you hadn't done it the first day, getting off the bus, your mom was still there to coach you for the next day or the next day or the next day until you were ready to be able to.
Well, there's another part to it. I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to tell you. My mom said, you're going to either beat him up or I'm going to get you. Which one?
Again, different times.
So, yes, that inspired.
Are you back, Coach? Oh, I mean,
Looks like he's still frozen.
There he is.
Alonzo, you sound like you grew up where I grew up.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
That's right. You have to handle it, sir.
Do you have any
I'm back in.
Do you have any insights into the idea about confidence, Coach?
Can you guys?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay. I was just going to say about RJ, and the way what Alonzo was talking is, when you're doing anything for the first time, when I took RJ to coach on that mission trip, I call it a mission trip. The reason I asked him to coach is because he played for me, and I knew what a player was, and I knew that I could trust him with what I wanted to accomplish. He did not have the confidence in him, but I had the confidence that he could do the job. And what he said is exactly true. It's simple. It's not something that you need to overcomplicate. It's not rocket surgery, and you don't have to go out and beat up anybody, and you're going to fail. And the one thing that I've learned and I've tried to teach is that you only learn through failure. And just like Alonzo, I went through a similar situation in Brooklyn, where I grew up in Bedford-Stuyvesant, with the bully of the block. But you learned, you learned, and RJ just took it to himself and learned it. He saw that, hey, I don't know how it is in your guys' business, but in my coaching career, it took 3 years to build any kind of a team. My first year, my teams lost like crazy. My second year, they would tie. And then the third year, that's when we started to do something, because that's when I started to have players. Exactly what RJ did. He formed a relationship with those guys that he's coached for years. Mm-hmm. And just like I have, I've been blessed to him as a friend now, and have some guys that I coach still. So I reach out to a coach and a mentor today because there's I've heard you say, in my view, and many times you guys were looked like old manuals, professional, and that's what you got. RJ, they're a phenomenal team. My wife and I talk about that a lot because what the image that is portrayed in that business. You teach a whole bunch of stuff, techniques and all that, the humbleness, the heart, the honesty, the integrity. That's what RJ has always had, and that always you just can't, when you have that, hope that somebody catches that, and then they can teach some of those skills to other people. Because skills, as you guys know, you can buy knowledge,
That's true.
but
You
those
can.
that have no price tag on them, people come with them from, like Alonzo said, parents and stuff. So
Yeah. You know what? You pointed out something that I really
I
like
hope you
too. I
heard
think
some of that.
message about, when you're first coaching people and you're first leading people, they don't always perform the way you think they're going to, the way you hope that they will. Maybe not to the standards that you set. Maybe things don't go beautifully and wonderfully right off the bat. Why we really push on trying to get that core group of people, because when you get the core, it's easier to get some of the stuff moving along that you want. But there aren't a lot of people that are just amazing like RJ right out of the gate, right? I mean, really, that's kind of, it sounds like RJ, by the time coach got you, you were kind of, you were ready. You had already been coached by other people that got you to a place, brought you to a place where you were ready for the coaching that he had to offer. And you were ready to be led by him. It doesn't always go that well in our businesses, I don't think. I don't think a lot of times they come to us just wonderfully coached up and ready to go. So I think it's okay for people to recognize that, like with coach, it's not great. That first year, he said they lose. RJ, you said the same thing. What? How are you coach of the year and you lost how many games?
18 out of 20.
18 out of 20. I didn't want to say that. I was like, maybe that wasn't right. But yeah, 18 out of 20. So I think that sometimes, it might take a little bit of time. So I did want to ask, we talked before we got on the call a little bit, you guys each had your top 3 things, hopefully, that you believe in as a leader, and the things that you really want to bring to your company as the leader that your people need you to be. And I would love you guys to maybe everybody share one real quick, and we'll go around and get as many as we can. I think we probably get to all 3, but just in case. So we're going to start with RJ. Tom, I'm going to hit you on this one too, even though I didn't give you a heads up. You've been leading your team for a long time. So RJ, how about you? What's your first one?
So as far as leadership is concerned, first I have to learn. Kind of like I think Alonzo said, you have to be able to follow and lead both. So I have to be able to learn and then teach it. And by teaching it, you empower and then back off.
Yeah, I love this idea of empowering too. I see everybody's nodding. Everybody's agreeing with this. Like, yeah, that's a good one. I think when you're talking about leadership, a lot of times, Coach was talking about he was reading John Maxwell back in the day before people even probably knew who John Maxwell was, right? And you're reading all of this stuff. It's like, stuff's so amazing. You can get caught up in it, but we all still have our kind of go-to things that we believe in and that we follow along with. So how about you, Alonzo? What's one of your big ones?
I like what RJ just said. I was just, processing what he was saying. Again, it's because as leaders, sometimes we hover over or we try to micromanage. And when we're micromanaging, it's because we have the wrong person in the wrong seat. And so when it comes down to looking at if the person really has it, I think about the back to traction, Liz, when we go back to GWC. And does a person get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to actually do it? And so that's what I think is important for a leader to be able to identify. identify the right traits, the right characteristics. But I think that's important from traction is, do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity? Because then we don't have to micromanage them. We can give it to them, and then we step back and we let them do what they need to do.
Well, that's really good. That's actually going to RJ's strategy also with that very first team that Coach stuck him with, right? Because he just gave them, he said the basics. I'm guessing it was something like, y'all need to pass the ball more. Y'all need to kick the ball more, some basic stuff, not John, you need to get in there and blah, 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 blah. And Alonzo, you need to. No, not the micromanaging. Yep. Lay it out there. You already knew that these people got it. They're on this college team, right? Obviously they want it. They have the capacity. So now let's just do that. So I love that. I think that's great. Just do it. Let's just get on what we know we can do. How about you, Coach? Did you have like a defining leadership habit maybe that you believe in, follow, that you'd like to share? Uh-oh, you're muted again. I'll unmute you. I'm unmuting you. No, I'm not.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, just took a bit.
Can you hear us, Coach?
I didn't hear the question.
Oh, thanks, RJ. My question was, do you have one?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you have one leadership habit or style or tactic that you really believe in or like or follow? I know you have a lot of them, but can you share one with us? I'm with bated breath.
I've got one that I have one that I have tried to. It's one that it's not just for leadership. It's one for my life. The game's never over until I win, and so I never quit on them because the game's never over until I win, and so because of that, when you have that type of an attitude, I've seen that in kids. I've seen that in athletes that you just can't stop them. It might seem like you're losing, but it's not. And then my other defining moment is, I guess, is that heard, try, fail, and adjust. That's for so many years. But then I found out that you guys are forming teams. And when you have players and employees and folks on your team that don't reach for guidance, guided adjustments is what makes the difference, not just the adjustments. A lot of times my adjustments were just idle works, and I was just turn around and go, what happened? It didn't get me anywhere. And so that's why I need a coach. That's why I need a mentor, because then my guided will get me where I want to go, because my coach has been there and done that. And that's what, like RJ could follow me in soccer, because I'd been there. I was a player. I knew. I used to tell parents, I don't want to hear you come talk to me about soccer if you've never played, because they're cleaning business and try to tell you guys how to run a cleaning business. I have no idea how that's run. And so you guys are the leaders of it. So I look for somebody who's doing what I want to do and go and do that. Hope that helps.
That does help.
Yes.
Yes, that's awesome.
Good.
Absolutely. I love that. How about you, Tom?
Harry Truman said it's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. So as a leader within your organization, I think humility, being humble, is something that can be a positive trait. Do you instill confidence in your people and then step back and let them get the credit for it?
Yeah, which I think that's what Coach modeled. The very first thing out of his mouth today, right? That's exactly what he was saying. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that as well.
Can I give you one more, Liz? Because I never knew. I looked that quote up because I wanted to make sure I got it right.
Yeah.
No, you're right, Tom, because that is a good thing, and I'm just thinking about that from that's level 5 leadership.
Yeah.
Good to great.
Yeah.
Jim Collins.
Here's a bonus for you, Liz. I never knew Truman said this, but he also said not all readers become leaders, but all leaders must be readers.
Yay.
So I will actually drop that in chat because I know that you
That's a good one.
embrace this concept.
I do.
You can do something with that.
I do embrace that concept.
Right.
So my thing that I want to share is when you're leading people, it makes really good sense to do well and to not notice as much what they focus on what they do, what they can do, and not what they can't do. Because as they get better and better and better at what they can do, and they do more of that, they do much less of what they can't do anymore. So that's mine. So let's see. Well, good. We still have time to hit a second one of everybody. RJ, what's your second one? I know you worked hard on this over the weekend, coming up with what you were gonna share.
Well, I want to share something that will put that man on a pedestal, if you don't mind.
No.
He's right. You know, the first year you struggle. The second year you start to see some windows of, you know, sunshine coming through. Like, oh, there's hope. The third year, boom, you know, you win. Well, and we do that very similar here in our cleaning businesses. We don't win every single time, every single clean. We try. We sure do try. Our intentions are right most of the time. But in our third year for Coach Sastoque, the Kennesaw State University actually won the very first athletic trophy in the history of the school. And he won it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Yes.
Persistence.
Yeah. Persistence does matter. One of the things that's really awesome about persistence that when Coach was talking is the game's not over until I win. And I really love that mentality, because all that means is every time you're losing, yes, we're on our way to winning. So losses have a whole new meaning when, yes, we're another step closer. Yeah, we're getting better. Yay, we're getting there. So especially if you're learning the lessons, right? And you're
Exactly. The only L is the learning, not the loss.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Who else has a leadership lesson or habit that they would really like to share?
You develop a skill set after a while.
I only got a little bit of that.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Coach.
Well, how about you, Alonzo?
I look at it like this. You know, I look at things.
You can't hear me? I'll try again. RJ is, you start off as a rookie, and professionals get paid by how good they are, and you only get good by practice. So as a professional, you get paid. If you want to remain an amateur, you can stay an amateur, and that's okay. That just means you're not get whatever comes with the professional. And when you're a professional, you make the difference of 6 to 7 and 8 figure incomes. I'm not. Did you guys hear a little bit?
I think we got all of it except the very end, but I think we got enough for sure. And really, Alonzo, that is what you and Tom and myself, RJ, what we have been preaching in this industry forever, right? We need to be professionals. That's where the money is going to come from. It's not going to come. We spoke to this earlier, right? Well, being a professional is where you get paid. You don't get paid as a rookie, and you don't get paid if you just want to stay in our business is out in the field. Yes, you can make a living. Absolutely, you can make a living if you want to be a solo cleaner and clean by yourself and work out in the field. You absolutely can, but you can't make the big money doing that. So, not saying that everybody needs to make big money. But if that is one of the things you're looking for, you are going to have to step up your game a little bit and do things in a different way. And you are going to have to lead other people. You're not going to be able to do that on your own. So you're not going to be able to push other people into it. It's called leadership for a reason. Yes, you have to be able to follow, but you also have to be able to lead. It's not one without the other.
Liz, that's why I was going to say, the one thing is how I see leadership right now is that leadership is diminished. It really is. It's diminished right now. It's not where it used to be by no standards. And the reason it being is that leadership is tough. It really is. Leadership is tough. It's not easy because leadership is lonely. And that's why, again, we have seen the Eagles by themselves, is because that's what a leader means. And it's how you really deal with things. And that's why I have been, deepening my studies into emotional intelligence, because what I'm seeing here is the diminish of emotional intelligence. And what's happening here is you look at emotional intelligence, and one of the key things is self-awareness. Self-awareness as a leader. And you're really taking a look at yourself, because you have to step outside of yourself and see how you're being perceived as a leader. And you're not minimizing what it takes to be a leader. You're not minimizing leadership. So therefore, you're constantly looking at being an example. The example. And the problem is that people are they know leadership is tough, but it has been diminished and it has been brought down to a level where it's like you'll follow anybody. You'll go on anybody's words. You follow this honesty now, and integrity has been thrown out the window, all of it, because it has been diminished in leadership and what it really means and what it really stands for. And so that's why I look at the whole concept of emotional intelligence saying, be self-aware. And if you're going to wear that badge called leadership, you got to wear it, because let me tell you something. It's a big badge and it's heavy, and most people can't wear it, and most people can't carry it. So, I applaud everybody that's here, that's on this, that has to go through that has to wear that badge of honor to be called a leader. That's huge, because I don't know too many people that I can freely throw out there and just say, oh, you're a leader. That's a big responsibility. And I kind of look at it as this word is great that's being thrown around so easy, because everybody's great nowadays. You're great. That's great. You're great. All your kids, everything they do, it's great. Everything's great. No, it's good. It's not great. Great is something that's very, very extremely hard to achieve, but it's achieved through hard work, discipline, and consistency. So for most of us, and when we look at that level 5 leadership, man, that's the bar. And maybe that's where we all need to be thinking about, what does it really take to be at level 5 leadership? I'm not there yet. And I'm a work in progress, and I'm working to strive to be that.
So you're looking for balance. You want to build confidence, but at the same time, you don't get a trophy every day, right?
That's right.
Not for participation.
Well, we should look for a trophy as being leaders. It's not what we're there. We're not looking for the trophies. There was the one thing in Good to Greatness where those great leaders that was at that level 5, greatness was this. They built a huge company. And when they left, They left quietly, but that company performed at a high level when they left. The problem nowadays is with the new leaders is like the big egos. You know, they want to be in the spotlight. And they want to say, look at what I did, look at what I built. But when you can build something, you can walk away and it still can succeed and exceed what you did. That's beautiful. That's true leadership. This was muted. We missed all that, Liz.
It was so amazing.
It was awesome. I know that I could
Yeah.
feel by the look on your face that profound moment. We've been
It was
waiting.
also Alonzo.
Very good.
Okay. You guys, we have 1 minute. Does anybody have one last thing? I do want to speak to real quick. RJ, Alonzo, I know you guys have both talked about this. Tom, we've talked about it before, but can anybody speak to vision? Just a little bit of vision and the leader. What does that mean? How does the leader bring the vision, and why is that important?
For me, vision or visionary is something that it's in the future. You have to see it before it actually happens. So you work with the end result in mind and work backwards to achieve it.
Love it. Love it. I would say, Steve Jobs, perfect example. He never created no iPod, no iPhone, any of that. He found the people, the right people, not just people, but the right people that could fulfill that vision. Because I always have said, and I've spoken on that, is that if you have a vision, you have to find an integrator. And the integrator is the one that can take that vision to where it needs to be taken to.
But the people who actually created those devices wouldn't have known that they could have done it either without the vision and leadership that Jobs gave them.
That's right.
They surprised themselves.
Yep.
Which goes to really the point about self-esteem. The reason why you don't give people trophies is because self-esteem and self-confidence doesn't come from the outside in, it comes from the inside out. So giving somebody something doesn't make them better. It just shines a light on what they still need to do on the inside. How about you, Coach? Do you have a final word for us today? Hopefully we can hear you.
He's muted.
Vision has everything to do with, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
If you can unmute me,
Yeah, we can hear you. Oh,
I can't get off mute.
You're
Everybody
good. You're good, Coach. Well, now you're muted.
you're muted, Coach. There you go.
Okay, here we go. Is that better? Okay.
Yep.
Vision can be a lot of misleading thing, but without vision, you can't see anything. Most marriages end because I've seen to do anything. There's no goals, there's to chase, there's nothing. And so the couple ends up apart because they don't know where they're going after. In a business, if you don't know where you're going, you'll get anywhere. And it doesn't matter where you go if you don't know. If the people that are leading an organization don't know where they're going, the people will follow them right into it, and they'll walk right into wherever you want to go. And so vision is more of a mindset of where am I going, where am I seeking, and then how do I get with the surround with some good thinkers and some possibility thinkers so that you can get where you want to go. That's from you guys, from the leaders. on the front of the truck or wherever.
Okay, I think we got that. It was pretty choppy, but
Reading something about Job. The last he wrote to his family wasn't taking more than what he was all about. So, the vision clouded, and that's why the hasn't got clouded. I hope it was
okay.
of our vision.
I'm not able to get any of this right now. Are you guys?
It's
Kind of choppy.
Yeah.
Not getting anything right now. All right. Well, we are running a little bit late today. It's 4 minutes after. Thanks everybody for joining us today. And I really appreciate RJ Alonzo, Coach, for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us today. It's hard times, y'all. We need to be the leaders that our people need us to be.
Definitely.
And Tom, what are we talking about on Wednesday?
We're talking about leadership. We're going to be talking about leadership, little different angle. We've got a couple of guests lined up, and it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. So we'll see you guys Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. RJ Alonzo, Coach, it was an honor, really, truly. I appreciate all you guys helping us out. This was
Absolutely.
useful.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you for having us. Yes.
take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.